Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First
Earthlings.
Contact Radio.
Welcome to First Contact Radio.
To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact
the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Glad you could be here. Hope all is well in your world. We are into the month of May, as we know. We are 22nd today. We've gone from one sun sign, which was in Cancer, for the last 30 days. And now we've moved into a new sun sign, Gemini, and that just began yesterday. So here is the tarot card that we're going to be looking at over the course of this next month. And this is the tarot card that represents Gemini. It's the card of the lovers. The card of the lovers. The Hebrew letter Zayin means sword. So about this card, this is about the idea of using a sword of discernment, okay, to be able to discern a situation, to use our gifts of discernment. And so the sword is used to help us make decisions. We think of a sword, take the word sword, and take the first letter S away from it, and you're left with word. So sword has to do with a word, the things that we say. So when we hear references in the Bible where it talks about a sword coming out of the mouth, it's words that are coming out that have great power. You can associate those. So we've got the idea of swords, a sword, an activity that is helping us to discern one situation from another, and that's what this is all about. It's communication. Here in this card, we have the image of a male and female, and they're standing in front of an angel. But the female, the subconscious mind, is looking up at the angel. The conscious mind, the male, is looking at the subconscious. And if we allow ourselves to have that kind of operation in our life where we are looking to our higher self, and that is how we are making our decisions, we're going to move along and we're going to use our gifts of discernment in a way that's going to be very effective for us. The moon sign for today, we're in a void of course moon. We've gone from Cancer, which is the tarot card of the Chariot, and today we're moving into the sign of Leo, and that takes place at 4:42 p.m. Leo is the tarot card of strength, which is all about strength of heart, allowing our energy to be utilized and flow through our heart center. And when we do that, we tame our animal nature. Okay, so we have the white, the purity, the woman in white, who is the Empress, Venus, love, imagination. So we use our love and our imagination and the purity of our soul to help to take the energy within us and to move it in a direction that is going to help to tame that animal nature. And we know in the world we see people that are behaving very animalistic, and we see people who are behaving in ways that are beyond that. And it all has to do with this, how we channel our energy. It's all about energy and the way we channel it. We have all of these chakras. If we channel the energy first through our root chakra, then the things we're going to experience are the things that the root chakra highlights, which is the primal desires that we have here on this physical world. Eating, mating, security, things of this nature. So people, when they're stuck in that chakra and they're bringing that energy through there, that's why they're acting the way they are, because they're in that lower area. People that are raised up and are coming from the other end of the spectrum with their chakras, all coming through the crown chakra, they're experiencing things in a different way. And so all of our chakras are very important to understand how we're using them, because they all have a very important significance. You have the root, which is the primal energies that we're dealing with, and above that you have the emotional energies. Then you go to the intellectual, to the heart-centered, to the throat for communication, to how we see through the dimensions of space and time, and finally our interaction with the crown chakra and the energy coming in. So all very important. Okay, so I just wanted to go over that as we're going into this today to help us understand. So we've got Leo coming in at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Tonight, the sun and the moon are going to be in a sextile with each other. So that will be Gemini and Leo. Nice positive energy. So this Leo could be fueling the communications that we have with creativity, stimulating our imagination. 7:51 p.m. The moon Leo is going to be in a trine here with Saturn. Saturn is discipline, focus. So we're going to find a way to maybe to focus all of this energy, which is good because we get this energy. We want to channel it in a way that's going to be effective for us. And then here we have this sign. The sun is going to be opposite Saturn. Okay, so let's go take a look at this here. Here's our sun. And there's the opposition right here. Okay. And when we have these oppositions, remember, it's like a teeter-totter. Teeter-totter, okay? We're hoping these two energies are going to play nice together. The sun, which is our communication, and Saturn, which is discipline. So are we going to be able to discipline our communication? Are we going to be able to focus it? Or because it's on the teeter-totter, is someone going to jump off one end and we're going to, be dealing with something unbalanced? It's all about energy, and if you just look at it that way every day, it helps you to understand. That's how I like to look at it. And despite the fact that I've been spending years studying this subject, every day when I look at the energy, it's almost like I'm looking at it fresh, because you understand how to apply the principles to understand what's going on, but every day brings a fresh set of energy and a new way to interpret what's going on. Plus you're adding in all of the other elements of all the way people are being affected in the world, what's going on with the world, and it's very fascinating. Astrology, esoteric science is really a fascinating subject because it helps us to understand the psychology of how we're moving around, how we think, how we move, how we we act, and so on and so forth. All right, so you got that right there. We've got our wheel, so you can have further examination. On the Jewish calendar, today is for Sivan, Omar count 48, moving to 49, which is the target we've been going to. Tomorrow we could see it's full Omar count day 49, followed by Shavuot, and that was the whole purpose for the counting the days to get us to this period of time. So let's first take a look here at the daily thought for today. Wonder making. If you see someone's faults hanging out and you truly want to help, whether it be a friend, a spouse, your child, or even your nemesis, don't say a word about what you have found wrong. Find something wondrous about that person, perhaps something that nobody ever mentions, and talk about it to yourself, to those who will listen and sympathize. In very little time you will see such a new person. You will believe you are a maker of wonders. Indeed, we all are. Okay, that's our daily thought. Now, since Shavuot is coming up, I thought that I would bring this page up right here, which gives us a little idea of what Shavuot is. So let's just look at the basics here. The basics of Shavuot. Okay. All right, so here we go. Learning on Shavuot night. Let's just go and take a look at what this is. On the first night of Shavuot this year, which is Saturday night, May 23rd, 2015, Jews throughout the world observe the centuries-old custom of conducting an all-night vigil dedicated to Torah learning and preparation for receiving the Torah anew the next morning. One explanation for this tradition is that the Jewish people did not rise early on the day God gave the Torah, and it was necessary for God himself to awaken them, to compensate for their behavior. Jews have accepted upon themselves the custom of remaining awake all night. Okay, so I'm going to leave all the info and the links available so you can check it out. But basically what we had the Exodus around Passover, and we had the Exodus that was acknowledged. Then there was the Omer count, 49 days, which brings us up to Saturday. And then we go into the Shavuot, which is the receiving of the Torah, the giving of the Torah by Moses, which is the word of God that he got on Mount Sinai. So that's what this is all about. And as the Jewish faith is all centered, and Judaism is centered around the Torah, this is a very important time, because the very book which is the central instruction book from God about what is really taking place, this is the time of that. This is when it was received. And so it's a very important time, and it's good for all of us to check this out. We've all lived many lifetimes. Maybe we were all Jewish at one point. It's a good possibility that a number of souls on this planet were. Just because someone is Jewish now doesn't mean that you've been Jewish in the past. It all changes, We all have had an opportunity to play many roles in many different bodies since being down here. And I think it's always good to reconnect and remember other traditions, because we may have been part of those traditions in another lifetime. And as we learn to bring those traditions into our life this time, we learn to connect with other people. And that's the whole idea. Because regardless of the skin colors that we have, we're all part of one race, and that's called the human race. And when we really understand that, we understand that all of these experiences we've had over the years of going from body to body, lifetime to lifetime, has been for us to understand all aspects of humanity so that we could be compassionate towards each other and evolve. We're not doing this so that we can become more warlike. That's what is being painted by the media and those who have agendas. But God's agenda isn't about that. God's agenda is for us to learn and understand all parts of who we are, which is ultimately all parts of who and what God is, so that we can understand more and more of our true nature. All right, we have a waxing moon, 22% of the way full. Look at how 22's played itself out today. It's the 22nd. The moon right now is 22 degrees. Numbers are important. Solar wind, 392.9 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet at a 1. Couple of coronal holes that are making their presence known. One in the bottom of here. So as these move across, this one might be Earth-facing. Perhaps even this one as they move across a bit. M-class flare possibility 1%. X-class also at 1. Geomagnetic storm activities pretty low. 10% is the highest it is in the mid latitudes, 20% in the upper latitudes, and that's where we stand. And finally, looking at the sky tonight, we will see our moon, Jupiter up to the left, Venus a little lower to the right, Procyon down here, almost below the moon. So you got a nice, good triangle of stars here and planets. So that's what you're looking at when you look at the sky tonight. And that is our cosmic weather to get us started. Brings us up to UFO news. Let's do it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alrighty, Dirk. Thank you very much. So we've got a number of sightings here. First one, this is a sighting over Ystad, Sweden. This was the 19th. We've got just our luminous white object zipping all over the place. Now, we can see it here, and one thing that just, if you are going to be out there capturing UFOs, and this is not a criticism by any means, this is just pointing out, for anyone who's doing this, I don't know if this person has a tripod, but if you're able to have a tripod, it's certainly going to make it much easier, because anytime, as you can see, the object's moving around up here, or it could be the camera as it's being held because of the distance, and so you have a little bit of movement. If you have a tripod, you can eliminate a lot of that movement and get a shot a little more stable, as you would probably like. But this is good footage indeed. All right. And this might be on a tripod, as more I'm looking at it, because it is a bit stable, and whatever this is seems to be actually moving around as opposed to the camera's movement. All right, next. Glowing green UFO caught over the Netherlands. There we go. Nice, good greenish object right there. Groningen, Netherlands. This green disk was caught off guard when the sun's reflection was at the wrong angle and the cloaked UFO was revealed for a few seconds. This happens a lot during sunset, but the clouds caused a false sunset-like state and the UFO was seen. You can clearly make out the round disk with the raised center and what looks like a steam from the top of the craft. A similar UFO was caught in the Aurora Borealis several years back with the same shape. That other sighting confirms that this is an alien craft. The story goes on to say here, the Groningen blogger Harry Clipperton likes pictures of nature. On Tuesday, he walked along a path in Onlanden, the border between the provinces of Groningen and Breth. At home, Groningen looked like the pictures and then discovered a UFO. Clipperton writes on his blog, something suddenly flashed. At first I thought it was my device, but the Phillips gap was not up. There was not a drop on my lens. I decided it must have been lightning, but at home I see some strange in the photos that I made at the end of the lane trees. The UFO is, as the word implies, still identified. Whether it is a meteorological phenomena, a meteor, a flying saucer, or something else, it's not clear. Okay, whatever it is, got a good shot right there. Right here we have another UFO caught under a rainbow in Poland. Rainbow object. And it's a pretty interesting looking one indeed. When I enlarge this UFO, I see it is not a reflection. It is not made of light. It is a solid object that is in the sky. I feel that the UFO in the area was drawn here by the appearance of the rainbow and that the aliens were intrigued by it. The person was lucky enough to catch them in a digital photo. Because the digital eye is capable of seeing light beyond the human eye spectrum, the UFO, as you see, can separate into two different ships. Okay. So that's a good shot there. Next story. Bizarre morphing UFO or portal over a Florida town. Okay, let's see what you think about this here, but very interesting indeed. All we just have is the video itself. It's pretty definitely an interesting thing, blinking in and out, whatever it might be. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Crop circles. Crop circles in Germany. Here's the latest crop circle report from Ystad, a locality within the Berlin borough in Germany. This was found May 18th, 2015. So just a few days old. So what have we got here? We've got a circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got 11 circles in all. Not sure what that represents. However, that's what it is. Alright, that's our German crop circle. Here we have a story from a security camera which catches bizarre UFO orb in a Florida space museum. Surveillance video captured an orb-shaped object moving within the walls of the U.S. Space Walk of Fame Museum in downtown Titusville, Florida. There it is. Wow, that's interesting indeed. What do you make that out to be? Don't know. It's one of those strange things that happens. And last, right here, story about Travis Walton in a video down here. Oh no, I thought there was a video. I was incorrect. The most prolific abduction case in the history of ufology is the kidnapping case of Travis Walton, which happened more than 35 years ago. His disappearance had caused a hurricane of news, controversy, reports, and skepticism throughout his entire adult life. Walton carried the emotional burden, and the incident, for the most part, is his solo journey. Of course, there is no concrete evidence that the extraterrestrial spacecraft has abducted anyone, but it is beyond one's control if a person claims that he or she has been kidnapped. The event began November 5th, 1975. Walton at 22, there's our 22 again today. Walton at 22 years old, he was employed by Mike Rogers, who had a contract for 9 years within the United States Forest Service. Walton and Rogers were best friends. On November 5th, after 6 p.m., Roger and his crew said that they saw a huge golden disc soaring above a shining and clearing brightly. The men in the truck reported that Walton was below when this disc-shaped object began making noises. Walton rose his foot in the air with his extremities outstretched. 1987 book entitled The Walton Experience. Walton told his extraordinary experience. The book became a film in 1993 entitled Fire in the Sky. He revealed his terrifying experience when non-human beings abducted him, and his fear and suffocation feelings have unfolded. He claims that he saw the face of non-human creatures, which are smaller than people, which is hard to control, and even concluded that the size might be the reason they have given up. Walton was declared missing for 5 days, and during that time his co-loggers, buddies, have faced foul play suspicions. When Walton came back without knowing how long he stayed in the alien's life, there were loads of intense investigation, including multiple physical, psychological, and polygraph tests. To celebrate the 40th anniversary, Walton will be speaking in Arizona at the November Skyfire Summit. All right. 40 years since that happened. That's a good chunk of time. So, if you've ever had an opportunity to meet Travis Walton, you'll find out, like I found out, that he's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. He is kind and soft-spoken and very, very much wanting to understand this experience and what has gone on and what is taking place. One of the things that is different from the story that he tells when you hear him in person talk, and the difference that the story that is told in Hollywood, is there's a big difference. You see, the things that happened in the movie Fire in the Sky aren't all what happened to him. And he'll even be the first one to tell you when you hear him give a lecture that Hollywood embellished a lot of things. What he says he remembers is other beings on the ship, and that he at one point jumped up off of a table and picked one of the instruments up and was waving at one of them when they were coming closer. But he said at no time did he recall that there was any sort of shenanigans taking place. Certainly not like the movie showed. In the latest time I heard him speak, which is just last year, he was talking a bit differently about his experience. And what he was saying was that he didn't think, like in the past, that this was an experience where he was abducted for the sake of being abducted, but that he had gotten too close to this beam that was coming out of the ship and it had been affected adversely, and that the reason that he was taken on board the ship, according to his latest thoughts, was that because he had become incapacitated by this beam and he was dying. And if they had not intervened, he probably would have died. So he looks at the experience, according to what I heard him say the last time, as something a bit different and a bit more helpful, because they were looking to help him. They weren't looking to hurt him. And that brings a whole different idea to the story about what's going on, what's not, who to trust, who not to trust. You see, we have there's an agenda going on out there. It's an agenda to try to get us to be afraid of these extraterrestrials, afraid that what they're doing, and we lump them into a category as if they're all bad or they're all good. I mean, I don't understand that mindset, because to think that all of them out there are bad, well, that's quite a depressing thought, to think that all the energies around us are bad. No, there's a mixture of good and bad. We have to learn to discern. That is what the whole idea. Tarot card, lovers, Gemini, discernment. We have to discern. Just as there are grays that have an agenda, there are those who also are out and wanting to help humankind. I've met some that are very interested in wanting to help and understand the problems that are going on. And I also understand that there are those who have an agenda that aren't looking to help. But I know that we are not powerless against them by any means. Not at all. We're only powerless if we allow our minds to believe that's the case. So don't be afraid of any of these experiences. Don't be afraid about learning who your ancestors are from another planet. Simply be open to that. And stand in your faith and stand in love, and know that no being has any control over you if you're standing in your place of spirit and love. And just let that resonate out into the universe, so that a being, no matter where he's from, understands who and what you're about. And they look at you and they understand that you understand this is a world of energy. And that energy flows through you, and that you can affect who and what you are and what's going on by simply taking that energy and utilizing it in a way that is love-filled. All right? So there you have it. That's our UFO news for today, and my little couple moment spiel on the subject. That brings us up to quick break here. I'm going to jump away. I'll be back, and I've got some interesting stories for you. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great Spirit, send down your love, send down your love, send down your love to us from above. Great Spirit, send down your love, send down your love, send down your love to us from above. Oh, 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 oh. Great Spirit, shine down your light, shine down your light, shine down your light to light our way. Great Spirit, shine down your light, shine down your light, shine down your light to light our way. Oh, 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 oh. Great Spirit, show us the way, show us the way, show us the way to live in peace every day. Great Spirit, show us the way, show us the way, show us the way to live in peace every day. Oh, 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 oh.
Alrighty. Continuing on. Because the wheel of life keeps rolling round and round. Okie dokie. Switching gears here, we're going to talk about genes. Genes, not the things that you wear, but the things that wear us, so to speak. We have all of these genes that make up who and what we're about, and throughout the years, we have heard stories about how we've evolved. And one of the stories that we've heard is that there was a period in history way back when there was manipulation of our DNA gene pool. and the story tells us that it was the members of the Anunnaki. The Bible tells a story, and when we look at all the various stories and put them together, they're all basically the same story. That somewhere someone was involved with the engineering of the being that was on the planet, possibly at that time more of like maybe the Bigfoot type creature or an ape type creature, and it was evolved along. Now we know that life has moved and suddenly changed, and scientists realize that there was a drastic change that took place, and that is where we're going to look at with this article. This article says microcephalin, a gene regulating brain size, continues to evolve adaptively in humans. The gene Microcephalin, otherwise known as MCPH1, regulates brain size and is evolved under strong positive selection in the human evolutionary lineage. We show that one genetic variant of microcephalin in modern humans, which arose approximately 37,000 years ago, increased in frequency too rapidly to be compatible with a natural drift. With neutral drift, this indicates that the spread under strong positive selection. Although the exact nature of the selection is unknown, the finding that an important brain gene has continued to evolve adaptively in anatomically modern humans suggests the ongoing evolutionary plasticity of the human brain. It also makes microcephalin an attractive candidate locus for studying the genetics of the human variation in brain-related phenotypes. Yay. You got all that? Well, I'm going to help to make it a little clearer about what this is about. Here, this is from the Urantia book. What we have here is a 4-minute slide presentation video that was created after the initial publication of the Adam and Eve report in 2007. The report has been updated several times since then with support from additional research. But this video is still a good place to learn about the research that originally inspired tracking the parallels between genetics research and the Urantia book. The summary gives a brief description of the Adam and Eve report. The length and the complexity of this report encourage us to provide an overview for those who would like to become familiar with the topic through an efficient presentation of the main points. This review walks you through the key elements of the topic. New discoveries and scientific advances increasingly lend support to existing reports. This selection provides brief descriptions of the links that offer additional support. Okay, so let me get down here. Adam and Eve summary. For the most part, the Urantia book story about Adam and Eve differs considerably from the one found in the Old Testament. However, both accounts had 3 things in common. 1. Specific couple living a long time ago in the Mesopotamia region had a significant impact on humanity. 2. This couple behaved in a way that caused a big problem. And 3. The behavior problem precipitated the need to leave their original location. According to the Urantia book, which was published in 1955, the first human beings, roughly corresponding to Homo erectus, evolved about 1 million years ago. It also recounts that almost 38,000 years ago, Adam and Eve introduced some genetic upgrades to our gene pool, which enhanced brain functions and resistance to disease. The authors extensively recount the development of civilization that Adam and Eve started and how their descendants migrated around the world and mixed with other races. The Urantia book provides specific information regarding time periods, places, degrees of admixture with other races, and the impact of the language and other aspects of culture. Starting in 2004, reports started to be published relating to portions of the Y chromosomes and the microcephalin gene. The microcephalin gene plays a critical role in the growth of the brain. This research closely correlates with the Urantia book says about the spread of the genetic and the cultural contributions of Adam and Eve. The research into microcephalin indicates the new genetic material was introduced into the microcephalin gene about 37,000 years ago, and that the rest of the microcephalin gene was approximately 990,000 years old. None of the obvious explanations for this new material might have been introduced fit well with results of the research. It then spread into the human population quite rapidly, excepting the sub-Saharan Africa. Similarly, Y chromosome-related studies also document how some types of mutations or other changes occurred around 40,000 years ago, originating in the Mesopotamian region and spreading quickly into most of humanity, except for sub-Saharan Africa. Follow-up research comparing the spread of the introduction of the new addition to the microcephalin gene and the use of non-tonal languages also showed a strong positive correlation. These correlations will also track with the migrations of Adam and Eve's descendants. Bruce Lahn from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute at the University of Chicago and the lead researcher responsible for the studies on the microcephalin gene is no longer working in this area, having become discouraged because the research results and their interpretation further inflamed what is already a controversial issue. Says see Eugenics, Race, and the Urantia book for a comprehensive review of the Urantia book's statements on the subject. Support for the Urantia book story about Adam and Eve is also documented in the Garden Eve report and the Göbekli Tepe report. Okay, so interesting correlation. So we've got the numbers 1 million years ago and 38,000 years ago, and we have this report which tells us that 37,000 years ago and 990,000 years ago, which are dates pretty close to those particular dates mentioned. So again, we have information confirming what we know, that there was genetic engineering manipulation that took place at some point in time. So what we do understand is that this is a planet that was created. Could be a round planet, could be a flat planet with a dome over it. But we do have this rock, this planet. Humankind evolved on here, and over time genetic engineering took place, and we evolved even more. And the stories of the Garden of Eden were stories that are involved with us evolving in a variety of different ways. The unfortunate part of our lessons is that putting together all of the different bits and pieces to understand what went on is somewhat of a challenging task, because we have different versions and different ways in which the beings there were treated. We understand on one hand the Elohim. The Elohim were the gods that were creating humankind. Then we have the stories that take us to the Nag Hammadi library, and this talks about Yaldabaoth, who we also know as Yahweh. And Yaldabaoth wasn't the good guy, he was the fallen one. So we've got a lot of interesting aspects to the story to come together, but as we see, things all kind of blend together, and eventually we're going to find out all of these truths about what we've been writing about for such a long while. And here's one more piece about genes. Scientists discover a gene for happiness, and it's related to marijuana. A gene responsible for the effects of marijuana may explain why some people are naturally happier than others, a new study suggests. Scientists in Japan measured happiness levels among nearly 200 individuals and found those who carried a variation of the gene were happier on average and responded more positively to emotional cues. The gene that was identified encodes for the CB1 receptor, the pathway in the brain responsible for the marijuana high. The human cannabinoid receptor 1 genotypes are closely related to two aspects of happiness, wrote the researchers. The study was published this month in an open-access journal, PLOS1. CB1 receptors are highly concentrated in the brain to alter appetite, pain, mood, and memory. According to the team, a polymorphism of the CB1 receptor gene may enhance an individual's response to cannabinoids, which are the chemicals that activate the pathways. Over 60 different cannabinoids have been identified in marijuana, with THC usually present in the highest concentration. But the study didn't involve smoking marijuana. As it turns out, the human body produces a number of cannabinoids on its own. Like THC, these natural compounds act on various regions of the brain related to happiness and seem to function as mood regulators. In fact, one of the first cannabinoids discovered in human anandamide takes its name from the Sanskrit word ananda, meaning bliss or delight. Interestingly, When researchers scanned the brains of individuals with the variant gene, they observed higher levels of activity in areas that regulate positive feelings. Being more prone to the effects of cannabinoids and, in turn, positive emotions may explain why individuals with the polymorphism are generally happier, the team suggests. The researchers conclude that those with the variant CB1 gene likely have high sensitivity to positive emotional events, and thus positive life events may be more abundant for those individuals. All right, so there you go. So it's not the first time that we've come across the understanding of marijuana, or in this case, the term cannabinoids, are proven or spoken of as being effective for the body. If you go through and you look up online cures for cancer, you'll find that cannabinoids comes up quite a bit. There's a number of individuals who have cured cancer using cannabinoids in a variety of different ways. So if you think about it, you go back to the Garden of Eden, we have the green herb, and it is mentioned twice. Not only does God make the green herb and put it in the field, but also after Adam is created, the very first thing, according to the book of Genesis, that Adam is told is that God created the green herb. So since it is mentioned twice, I'm guessing that it has some importance, and that we can find a tremendous benefits from the green herb. Anything from nutrition to supplements for health and everything in between. So what if we were actually able to look at this particular plant and find out that it has hundreds of uses? It's not just about smoking, it's about other ways that the body takes in a chemical. And what if we have this plant because this is a plant that was given to humankind to help us to evolve because of all of the benefits, to help us with healing, to help us with any sort of ailments that might go on. Just a thought, but we're told that the Bible's important, and not only are we told that, but we're told we should follow what it says. And here we have two places in the book of Genesis where it is very much emphasized, which means there is a reason that it's there, something we need to pay attention to. Did God give us a plant that would heal us, that we could use for a variety of different reasons? Seems to be so, but man has its own ideas about things and wants to try to dispute what God has to say, which seems a bit strange. All right? All right. So, where do we go from here? Well, this next article is an article about the 5D Earth. Now, we've talked about 5D Earth a number of times on this show. 5D Earth is basically the realm that we're moving towards. We live on a planet. We are told we're in the third dimension, the physical realm. There's a fourth dimension, which is beyond the physical, which is of thought. And then we go beyond that to other realms of existence. Dolores Cannon has spent a good portion of her life studying, speaking, and communicating with entities and beings that aren't in body. And she's done this through various clients that she's worked with. And she's gathered a lot of information that really confirms that we are going through a shift. And according to her, it's like the Earth is all together and then it's pulling apart. And it's pulling apart into two different dimensional realities. A fifth dimensional reality where the vibrations are increasing and we're moving along with it, or a slower vibrational rate, which is as we're now, and those who are at that rate will continue to stay with that. And we are separating like the wheat from the chaff. Are we raising our consciousness to move along with the change, or are we stuck in the old patterns? And the old patterns are easy to determine. Fear, hate, war, violence, anger. Those are the lower consciousness vibrations. The higher consciousness vibrations are love, positivity, happiness, evolving, on and on. So we need to decide, we need to discern and use our sword of discernment to discern what is right and what is wrong. I can't tell you what's right or wrong. Nobody can tell you except for yourself. You need to decide for yourself. All someone like myself can do is point you to things that have been helpful for me, share that with you, And if you find it helpful for you, great, and you'll share it with others and so on. And I get information because you share information with me. And so it all works. As long as we're sharing with each other, we're helping each other out, and that's this whole process. Helping each other out. So here's an article. Dolores Cannon, 5D Earth is here. This is by Greg Prescott at In 5D. The crew at Time Monk Radio interviewed past life regression hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon, who spoke about the changing energies, the new Earth, and the signs of the new Earth. Who will get left behind on 3D Earth? Physical symptoms of ascension, becoming a light body, what happens to people who get left behind, removing karma duality on the new Earth, grid lines, timelines, and points of conversion, Nostradamus free will moving into 5D Earth. Why are we skipping the fourth dimension? The waves of volunteer souls, Earth changes, the overlapping of 3D and 5D, the sun's relationship with the Earth, and whether or not the afterlife is the form of the fifth dimension. Among some of the ascension symptoms Dolores talked about include high blood pressure, irregular heartbeats, dizziness, depression, joint aches and pains, ringing in the ears, and headaches. Cannon stated that these don't all happen at once. You might have one every few days. Adding that your physician will not understand this is your body adjusting to the new frequencies. You'll just have to wait a few days. You'll be just fine. It is just the body as it is adjusting to the new frequencies. Everyone has a different frequency and vibration, so it's going to react differently to these changes. The entire universe is being affected by the changing of the vibrations and the frequencies. Nothing can escape from this. She said that people's diets are changing, most notably by eating less meat. In order to move with the ascension as we are going into the new dimension, you have to have the body be lighter. According to Cannon, eating heavy meats will hold the body down. She states right now that there are at least 30,000 people in the world that didn't eat anything, which means that these people are advancing to the point of being light bodies. The ETs, told me many times in my work the ideal diet is live food. Live food are fresh fruits and vegetables, organic if possible. Cannon recommended for people to stay away from sweets and to drink lots of water, because they said that the importance of water is unbelievable. There is one tiny thing in water that the body must have. You can eat some meat, some fish, some chicken. That's a lighter vibration of meat, but stay away from the heavier foods. Okay, and we're going to go down here to the end of the article. Got a nice, good interview here, 1 hour, 12 minutes. And as you know, Dolores passed away, or just went to the other side. And she is out there in the realms of space and time. We may not see her, but we do have her words and what she's talked about. Okay? So, change is taking place. We need to pay attention to the change. And if we don't pay attention to the change, then when it happens, we just become overwhelmed. The whole idea is for us to understand what's going on, so we're not feeling overwhelmed by the experiences when they happen. That's it, plain and simple. Awareness helps us to understand so we can move forward without the fear of what is happening. Because once we understand the process, we understand the process. All right, here's a message from the Divine Mother for today.
The Divine Mother and Divine Father.
May 13, 2015, by Jennifer Snell.
Greetings, dear children. I am the Divine Mother. I come to you today, my children in love and in light. The birthing process of the new crystalline consciousness on our beloved Gaia has begun, and is now in full process. With each contraction will come a shift on the physical plane. As these contractions occur, the earth changes will manifest in different ways, as they have always happened this way on this celestial body. Earthquakes, volcanoes, large waves of water as Gaia shifts her energy, these are all the natural ways of energy clearings, and shifts that are necessary in Gaia's body and chakra system to facilitate this new reality. To our beloved way showers, the 144,000 souls of the realms of the family of light, we ask you to now become fully and totally activated in your soul missions, and consciously aware of who you are and why you are here at this time. Your soul missions vary by which group, and what star nation and or council you are affiliated with in this incarnation, and all incarnations across time and space. On May 21st, and May 22nd, of 2015, we will begin the next phase of this process and many of you will be called forth in service. Be open to these communications from your star brothers and sisters of the star councils, and please pay attention to signs and messages. You are now fully starting to integrate into your light bodies, and as such, the information will flow more freely, as well as the energy that will be released on our dear beloved Gaia, via our light codes. Dear children, stay in love, and in our light, and keep your hearts open. There is always room for more light. We love you. The Divine Mother and Divine Father.
Okay, good message. Excellent message. Excellent message. So, just a thought I want to about this particular situation here. Whenever we listen to these channeled messages, and I bring them up, one thought that usually comes to mind is the concern that others have about the validity of these messages or whether they are trying to trick us or not. And these messages, at times, they're labeled from the Galactic Federation. So, I think we need to understand a little bit about this Galactic Federation. Are they the good guys? Are they the bad guys? Or are they simply neutral? Are they here to help us? Are they here to hurt us? When we listen to these messages that are played, and that have been playing for a while on the show here, you can tell that the messages are simply about how we use our energy to evolve. At no point in time is anybody telling us we need to be at a certain location so we get on a ship. No one is telling us we have to do some particular thing in a certain way, otherwise some bad thing's going to happen. We're just given information on how to evolve. And that's the whole point of it. We need to learn to extend our trust to the universe and trust that the universe is going to bring beings into our lives that are here to assist and help us. So we can't be afraid that the extraterrestrials out there are out to get us, because again, isn't that a pretty daunting thought if we believe that everything around us was bad out to get us? That's not the case. I believe that the universe has more good, and all we have to do is look at the good, focus on the good. Just like down here, we have mixtures of people that are doing good things and people who are doing bad things. And if we focus on the good, we gravitate and we move in that direction. If we focus on the bad, that's where we get stuck. So it's really all up to us on how we are going to use our energy and what we're going to look at. So I just wanted to mention that because that's a big topic. You know, a lot of people are concerned. Who is channeling this message and are they out to get us? Again, I can't tell you that. I can only show you the information, share it with you, and then you all need to think for yourselves, just like I do, about what the situation is and how you are going to continue to have a relationship with that understanding. All right? That brings us to our passage from the Warrior of the Light, page 73. The Warrior of Light behaves like a child. People are shocked. They have forgotten that a child needs to have fun and to play, to be slightly irreverent and to ask awkward, childish questions, to talk nonsense that not even he believes in. And they say, horrified, "So this is the spiritual path, is it?" He's so immature. The warrior feels proud of such comments and then remains in touch with God through his innocence and his joy without ever losing sight of his mission. That's important. You know, it's important. We sometimes take ourselves so seriously, and in taking ourselves too serious, we kind of forget the point of all of this is learning to play, learning to enjoy, have fun. It's part of the process. The idea that the name Pleiades, the beings from the star system Pleiades, you can break that up into play at ease. Pleiades. So we need to play. Remember the words of Jesus? You have to be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. Got to have that simple mindset. Have fun with life. Learn to play with what's going on with life. Enjoy. Have fun. All right, meditation time. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Another deep breath. And exhale. Breathe in again on the count of 4. Hold it. Exhale. And just breathe in and out slowly. Think of yourself as an energy, a pure energy amongst a sea of energy. And imagine everyone and everything you see as energy. And as you move through life, the objective is understood clearly that we need to learn how to mix and communicate with all of these energies around us, while at the same time maintaining our individuality. So, we experience and we observe these other energies, and then we simply find the rhythm that is happening, and we get in sync and we become in rhythm with what's going on around us. And as we synchronize with the energies, we find that we are playing, dancing with life. And as we play and dance with life, we find that our experiences become much simpler. Our lives become simpler because we've allowed the complications to leave. So we realize that we, at any moment, can make our life more difficult or easier depending on where we wish to put our consciousness. So let's just imagine ourselves setting the path before us, a path that is smooth and easy. Let's imagine ourselves walking down this path, and that any time some sort of obstacle gets in our way, we just walk around it or step over it. And then we pray, Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that you have given to us. Help us to open our hearts and open our minds to understanding the righteous way to use our energy. Help us to understand the strength that we have and the gift of discernment available to each and every one of us. And above all, let us all participate in this game of life by sending and receiving love in all that we do. Let the subconscious mind continue on the journey, sending out love and light into the world, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Open your eyes. Or exhale and then open your eyes. And that is it. That's our show today, my friends. That gets us through the end of the week. So we've got a new sun sign we're dealing with. We have a Shavuot, which is coming up this weekend, Sunday, Saturday night, Sunday. So pull out the Torah, see what you can learn from there. Spend some time meditating. And just find ways to connect in with life. Connect in with all the positivity and love that's available around you. And as you do, you'll find that it's just never ending. There's more available than you could possibly imagine. That's it. I'll be back next week, my friends. Have an awesome weekend. And I'll be back next week, and we will continue on. I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.